Hello everyone, this is Zeeebo and welcome to this AFK journey video. So in today's video, we are going to talk about the best teams or the different team strategies that you can use for Plague Creeper. So we are close to the 50% HP mark for this unit, and even as we are speaking, there are still people actively testing out different builds, sharing their records, their damage output, and then theory crafting on the analytical side. So in today's video, I'll be talking about the 3 best teams or 3 best strategies compiled by the analytical Discord server with the sharing of multiple players and graphic design done by Metal369 right here. So I'll be linking all the Discord links as well as the link to this infographic in the description down below, so you guys can visit it yourself to actually run through the different stuff. But even as we are speaking, I think there are still new discoveries to the teams, the different variations. So in today's video, I'm just going to focus more on the strategy side, because even though we are still figuring out the different combinations and the unit power level, I think the general idea of the strategy is still pretty similar. It's just min-maxing by taking certain units out to sort of make the combo even more optimized, but that'll probably still evolve as we go by. As we get better levels, as we get better artifacts across the player base, everything might still change, but the strategy, which I believe are the factional talent strategies, are pretty much going to be constant. Okay, so without further ado, we'll start with the very first team. So I'm going into Plague Creeper right here. Still have one more attempt. I'm saving it for later because I'm super duper close to level 600. So I'll do my runs after 600 with all my upgraded artifacts and equipments for my characters. So the very first team is the Graveborn Basilisk team. So the major discovery from the previous time I shared this Graveborn meta video was that I think Cassidy's damage output and debuff ability outweighs that of the Reyna's debuff provided by the EX weapon skill itself. So this is the best performing team in terms of damage. So let's do okay, so before we go on to the Cassidy one, so this was the one that we talked about in the previous video, which is the Graveborn meta video. So the idea is still the same. We are relying on Immortal Pact, which is the Graveborn factional talent ability, and then we are still using the same units, except we swap out Ludovic for Torrent for even more debuffs, and we're using Resonating Spell to buff out Lily May. So this was the team I suggested, and it's more optimized to focus on Lily May's damage output for you to hit the boss harder. So this is the previous Graveborn team, but with a lot of testing done by different players, what is discovered is this, right? Take out Carolina, put up Carolina to the front, and then putting Cassidy at the back is the most damage output, because this way we do lose a little bit of factional talent, but Cassidy as a carry or a magical damage dealer is actually really insane. And we have the debuff from Carolina from the EX weapon right here. We also have the debuff from Cassidy coming out from the skill right here. So for this Cassidy carry to work, you will need her to be Supreme Plus to maximize your magical damage, and then you need her EX weapon to be EX10, because this Tidal Blessing ability is actually really insane for her to elevate her own damage. And the amount of damage that Cassidy can provide for the team is really insane. And provided that she has this debuff, it works with Cecia's debuff, it works with Carolina's debuff to buff up the 3 magical carries damage output, and then also buff up tight core spells magical damage output as well. So there's a lot of synergy in this team, but the idea is still relying on the Graveborn talent right here. Okay, so we are buffing up Cassidy because Cassidy and Lily May are the hardest hitting unit, and this is the combo. So there are other substitutes. So on the infographic here, it is mentioned that you can swap Lily May with Merrily. Okay, I do think that it's a feasible solution. In a sense, Merrily's ultimate is more spammable, which allows Merrily to proc the tight core spell a lot more often compared to Lily May. But based on some of the testing and results, it seems like Lily May in the team still does the most damage, and that's probably because Lily May is just such a hard-hitting magical damage dealer, which is further buffed up by the debuff from our dear Cassidy right here, as well as our dear Carolina in the EX weapon as well. So that's why this team should probably be the best in terms of overall damage output. And there's also another team variant with Talin. So I think the 3 core Graveborn is still pretty much the same units, but we are putting in Talin. So we have Talin in the mix, then we put in a Reyna as well. So I don't have my Talon invested, so I'm just going to use her at a low tier. So this is the positioning, and then we will actually put in a Ludovic as well. Okay, so Ludovic is for additional heal to keep Talon's ultimate going. So this is also another Graveborn strategy with Talon in the team that you guys can try it out. So you can also take out Cecilia, put in Torrent to protect one of your units in case it don't survive well enough. So with regards to the most consistent and the best performing team setup, it is the Graveborn Talon one. Okay, so this is probably the strategy that you guys should be focusing on towards the last few days or before the boss is about to die, when you are min-maxing your damage. But like I mentioned, this strategy could still be further optimized with higher levels, with better equipments, with better artifacts itself. Okay, so things might still change, but generally I think Graveborn is the best talent for this boss. So next one, we talk about the Light Bearer one. So the Light Bearer one right here has this warning high damage variance, because this is basically the very first day strongest team. In a sense, it relies on the Light Bearer's factional talent to spam the ultimates of your units, and then from there you are able to proc your tidal spell quite frequently for you to do maximum damage. So let me put in, yeah, so this way, this is the positioning, and then we put Elsa right here. Okay, so with this Light Bearer factional talent, so right now my Light Bearer is only level 11, but when you have 2 tiles on it, your units can spam their ultimate pretty consistently. And then with Rowan's ability to charge up the energy of your team, and having 2 Rowan use the ultimate at the same time, your whole team will be able to spam the ultimate really consistently, and then flooding the wave, flooding the whole battlefield with a bunch of tight core spell ability waves. So you keep on flooding the field and then flushing out all the summons to do massive damage on this boss. Corinne as a true damage dealer is also massive in terms of doing damage to the boss itself. So these are the few damage dealing points for this team. And Elsa is an ultimate spammer, which is also able to increase the proccing of the tight core spell ability. So this is how the team works, right? The whole team has a very low energy casting, has the energy support from Rowan, as well as the double casting from the Light Bearer talent tile. So the reason why this team is really powerful is the high variance. When you min-max a lot, the max is really high, because if Rowan's ultimate hits all the unit, if the Elsa's Rock Wall doesn't block out your melee units, and your whole team's damage output is maximized in terms of the cycling, that's where you get the really high damage. But at the same time, like I mentioned earlier, Elsa's Rock Wall can actually block out your melee units and affects the pathing of your team, right? It affects where Merrily jump, it affects where Rowan move, and then if Rowan's ultimate doesn't cover that many units, or if Rowan's ultimate doesn't cover Elsa or Corinne, then your damage output will actually shrink considerably. So this team is a team where there's really low lows, but also really insanely high highs. So it is still a very meta viable team. It's just that it's not very consistent, and it's really frustrating sometimes if you are trying to get your Rowan to actually buff up everyone with the ultimate itself, but then he only runs up to the front and use ultimate on himself. So that is one thing I realized about this Light Bearer team, but in general it is still workable. If you have more of this Light Bearer character and Elsa invested, then this is a team that you can definitely use to try to min-max your damage. Okay, so if you don't have Elsa, Fresto is also another option, providing 2 bodies to spam the ultimate. And then, right, because you don't have Elsa to throw the rock walls, your melee units are not like blocked out by the rock walls. Like Elsa's ability has this power to generate a wall which can actually block out melee units. So if you swap out Elsa for Fresto instead, you get double ultimate. Although I think the ultimate spamming might be a little bit slower, but I think you get like a little bit more consistency in terms of the team's damage. So that's for the Light Bearer team. And then we have the Whale team, which is one that relies on the Celestial Hypogean one. So I don't have my Celestial Hypogean talent invested level 4, but I'm just going to showcase the team. So this team, right, you have Talon. You definitely need Talon, you definitely need Reyna, and you probably definitely need Fresto, because they are the best bossing Celestial Hypogean. So this tree is used to activate the talent tile. We have Mikola for the buffs as well as the heal, and then we have Lily May for additional damage. Okay, so the the ability is to buff up a resonating spell as well to buff up Lily May. Okay, so this team right here has Taylor's massive damage output potential to quickly wipe out the smaller summons, and at the same time the ability from the factional talent also provides additional AoE damage, true damage, to quickly do damage to the boss and also kill the summon. So this is this factional talent, but this one I think is relatively expensive, which is not very I'll say like consistent for most free-to-play players. So I don't recommend it for most people. In fact, if you're somebody who wills a lot, this team is not the best option you have. If you will a lot, you probably have a lot of unit, then either the light barrel one, which gives you a higher high, or the Graveborn one, which is consistently high damage, is probably the better team for you. But right, if you have your Celestial Hypogean more invested than any other units, you have Talon super duper invested, you have Resto super duper invested, then this team could be a team that you can use. I think this is the third in terms of damage, like highest damage recorded. I think it's Graveborn, and then the light barrel one, and then this one. Okay, so what happens for those of you guys who don't have all the core units here, or if you are more Wilder centric? So I tested the Mauler build. I think Mauler is not that good, but for the Wilder's build, if you have this very bare bone account where you have very limited units, then you can obviously still use the Wilders to further boost up your damage. So what I'll suggest here is you need 3 Wilders to actually activate it. So Lily May is an excellent unit, and then we have our dear Iron here for the debuff as well as additional damage. So there's also Lenya, right? You can put Lenya. You can also put Bryon. Bryon has this debuff ability in the charm skill, which could provide more damage for your team. And then for the very last slot, you can choose to put in the likes of Cassidy or even Carolina for the secondary carry slot. So this is for the wildest free-to-play variant, right? If you don't have Bryon, Lenya is a good choice. If you don't have Lenya, then you can use our dear Parisa as well. So these 3 Wilders just to proc the Wilder's Tau. I think this Eternal Bloom ability is pretty much the most common one across the different accounts, the different servers. So this is for those of you guys who don't have the units right here. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this video, right? So these are the 3 main strategies, or the 3 main factional builds that offers the best damage. So I foresee people still discovering better teams, better combos, but I think the general idea of the team builds is roughly the same. For those of you guys who are really hardcore into getting best damage for this boss, do feel free to hop into the Analytical Discord to just chat with the crew, the whole bunch of people sharing their stuff, so you guys can actually talk more about it, right? But if there's any massive game-changing new meta that outweighs this best performing team right here, then I might still release one more video to talk about it. But if not, I think that's pretty much it in terms of the best teams you can use for Plague Creeper Primal Lord itself. Thank you very much for tuning in. Do remember to like and subscribe to see more. See you guys again in my next video. Bye guys.